Ladies, you may have your spouses or a partner or a significant other, even your kids.
Yeah, but what you really need, your girlfriend.
Sure do.
And this is Chick2Chick.
Why do women need their girlfriends? For me, I gotta have my girlfriends. I gotta have my chick.
Yeah.
I need that bond, that close, tight bond with other women. There's something about it. And when you don't have it and you're missing it, I can't function.
You know what? It's weird too, because when you're younger, you are running around with all your friends, whatever. Then you move on to having friends because your children are hanging out with friends. And those girlfriends are great. I mean, you and I met in that space, right?
Yeah.
Because we had kids that are the same age. But there is something that happens when you're older and you don't have your kids running around with you anymore. And you are really, you're free to kind of figure out who those important women are in your life. And then that's when you really realize how truly special it is when you have great bonds with your female friends.
Well, and we are both in that situation. And I think we are both blessed in that situation that we still have contact with our friends, our girlfriends from when we were kids.
Yeah.
So I ran around in a pack with 4 women, me, Susan, Jennifer, and Diane. And we have been friends for a long, long time. And I don't even want to verbalize
That's a lot of
how
trouble,
long.
I bet.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, it's interesting what you said. We were friends during childhood, middle school, high school. We went off and went to college and got married and had kids and whatnot. And we've reconnected. And that connection that we have is so special and it's so rare. And I am so grateful for it. There's something about it. We might not see each other for 2 years.
It doesn't matter.
But the minute we get back together, which we recently did, we revert right back to being 15, 16, 17 years old. There's a trust there. There's a bond there.
It's ease,
It's
right?
really, really easy. I'm so grateful and blessed. And we always make a point. We make time to go on these little girls' trips. And it might be a year and 2 years might go by. And we did go on one trip and then COVID hit. And we recently went on another trip. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I just feel so blessed that I have that strong connection with these ladies. And I know you're in a similar situation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I was going to ask you, when did you get to that stage in your life where you felt like it's time for me to now go have my time with my girlfriends? Because it's hard when your kids are growing up and, you know, you're doing things with them. And if you have time off, you're going to go do something with them. What was the point in which you and your girlfriends were like, look, it's all about us for at least 3 or 4 days? When did you start doing that?
Well, that's an interesting question. And so, you know, as I said, we kind of went off and we're
You did
living
your own
life.
thing,
You know, kids get in the way and you get busy and whatnot. And we had a high school reunion. And right at that moment, it was right around the time that my father passed away. And we all got together, and Susan came in from Texas. And at the time, Diane was living in South Carolina, and Jennifer is in Pittsburgh. And we realized at that point that life is so fragile. You know, my dad was here one day, and he was gone the next. And we realized that we needed to stop and make time for ourselves and to reconnect. And it was really my father's passing that had such a profound impact, not just on me, but on all of us. Because they also, these girls, these women, I shouldn't call them girls, but
You're still girls, because you feel like you're girls, right?
You know, they had a connection with my mom and dad.
Yes.
And I had a connection with their parents. And that was a profound moment. And we just made that decision at that point. We're going to start doing girls' trips, even if it's for 3 days, 4 days, whatever. We're going to make an effort and we're going to get together. And we've done it. And I'm so proud of us. Like I said, COVID got in the way and we kind of had to put a halt on these trips. But we just went a few months ago and it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
How about for you?
Yeah. So, you know my Jen. You have your Jen and I have my Jen. My
Jen.
My Jen was on the
Jen
podcast. And the interesting thing with her is that our dads grew up together and were really good buddies when, you know, middle school, high school, grew up right around the corner from each other. And then Jen and I became friends because not only our dads were friends and they skied together, and Jen and I would ski together, but then we were in the same high school together. And she's so cool. I was like the little sis because we're about, I don't know, like a year and a half apart age-wise, 2 years grade-wise. So imagine, I'm 2 years younger, but I'm hanging with, all the older kids. But the thing about my Jen is that between family history and just the fact that we have, you don't just always go back in time and talk about, oh, remember when we did this? Because you don't move on in your relationships as women.
Sometimes we do.
No, you do, but you don't.
Like, do you remember the first guy you kissed?
Ours would be like, do you remember that party my parents didn't know about? Those are fun.
Oh, we've had those too.
I mean, and those are the ones you go back and you laugh about. But when you really truly connect with them for your lifespan, you're bringing them into the here and now, and you're talking about things that matter now, because we all know what the dumb shit that we did before.
Oops.
But sorry, not sorry. But the thing that makes it so special is that you can live in the here and now with your girlfriends, and you can talk about what matters now, and it's still so important as if it was back when you were in elementary school or middle school or whatever. But yeah, you were asking me before I asked you your question. You said you had a recent experience.
Which was a great question, by the way. I'm glad you asked me that.
Sometimes I can still be a journalist. Sometimes I can ask Flora questions. So, for me, I had another Jen. I don't know what it is about these Jens. I got some great Jens in my life. So I had this other Jen, and I met her in the 7th grade. And friends of ours knew that we were going to be friends. Now, I grew up in an area with the only Army War College in the country, and that's in Carlisle. So oftentimes we had kids moving in and out. Maybe they'd be there for a year, maybe 2 years. Maybe they would just stay like my Jen did. So we became fast and furious friends in the 7th grade, right? And we rode that wave all the way till we got into college. You mentioned how you have friendships. Well, you were friends with the parents. The parents, knew you growing up, and vice versa. Yeah. So for me, I had this tough colonel, right? I called him Daddy-O because the last name starts with an O. So I felt like he was just a mush when I was around him. And then her mom, who was truly like the Martha Stewart of Central Pennsylvania. I mean, I just looked up to her. She was so cool. Next to my own mom, this woman was cool. So I had this trifecta of having a great relationship with not only her, but the family. Mm-hmm. So cut to, it's been honestly, over 25 years, really, probably longer than that I haven't seen them. Right. And I had an occasion to go to Texas for something with my husband. And I reached out to my good friend, and I was like, I'm going to be near you. And, we talk, but she's got little kids, so it's a little harder. But I had not really had full on major conversations with her in a long time. Right. But I said, I'm coming. She said, you got to stay with us. And I thought, why the heck not? Right. We haven't been around each other in so long, but I know it's going to be like yesterday. Oh my God. I cannot even tell you how my heart is full.
The connection.
So full.
That bond. It's so strong. And I'll tell you what, that's beautiful that you're able to reconnect. Yeah. And I feel so blessed and so grateful that I have these women that I have that connection with. But what I think is so sad is how times have changed. When we were kids back then, as my son likes to say,
back in the day,
we didn't have technology. We didn't have social media.
Well, we had technology. We're not dinosaurs.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about technology in the sense of social media. You didn't have cell phones.
You had a phone that eventually was cordless, but it had a long cord, and you had to go into the closet and talk to your friends.
And I'm talking on the front, and then my brother picks up the other line, and I'm like, Adrian, get off the phone.
Or my parents would be like, are you getting off the phone now? Yeah.
We didn't have all of these distractions. We didn't have the texting. We didn't have cell phones. Yes. Our connection, our bond was face to face. It was always physical. It was physical. And what I feel so sad about kids today, you're not developing that physical bond because they're texting each other and they're not talking to each other. Mm-hmm. My son will say to me all the time, Mom, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous that you have that connection with these other girls that date back to, childhood. Mm-hmm. When Susan and I met when we were in elementary school, and he's like, I don't have that now. And the reason kids don't have that is because of this different type of technology. Yeah, we had technology, but we didn't have all of these distractions. And we got together.
Yes.
We saw each other. Susan, Jennifer, Diane would come over to my house, and my mom would always make a big, "Did you girls eat?" That was the first thing. "Yeah, we ate." "Okay, she's still making you something to eat." And
You didn't eat enough.
It was just a beautiful thing, and I have these beautiful memories.
Yeah.
And it's just great. We need to have these connections. We need to have these conversations. We need to have these people in our lives because, ladies, be honest. I know you have your spouse or your partner or your significant other, but boy, when you get together with your girlfriends, it is chicken soup for the soul. The belly laughs that you have and the connection and the things that I'm able to say to you, sometimes you just can't say it to a guy. You just can't. You just can't.
It's different. You're not as relatable. It's just, it is totally different. And, to your point, going back to our kids grew up, right, without having cell phones at the ready. When it really hit them was in high school.
Which is the most crucial time.
That's when you have the most independence, where you are actually saying, "I'm coming over, I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And I think we just busy ourselves. Look, even kids will get on video games from afar. They're doing Xbox or whatever that is. And it's almost like a glorified, FaceTime on playing games. Well, we had to say, "Come over and we're going to play Donkey Kong." Come over
or
and we're going to
spin
do
the bottle.
Well,
oh yeah, because you never did that. No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you never did that.
But it's, I think probably our kids today would say, "Well, that's not entirely true because, we can FaceTime." Whereas my gens went off to college, and unless you're able to call their floor or their room, and if it was away, because the one was in South Carolina, the other was in West Virginia, and that was the long distance call to which none of us had the money for. So there was a barrier, but because of that barrier, it made it all the more sweet when you connected versus now, again, you can pick up the phone and either call someone directly. You don't have to worry about being their house line, but you can FaceTime them and see their face. And that's wonderful. It is. And you and I both know that we've been able to continue friendships from afar because we have that technology.
Yeah.
But, you just cannot beat the fact that you can get on your bike, go down the street, knock on so-and-so's door, and that's the way it is, or way it was back in the day. It's just, even kids are too busy now, I think, to form other types of friendships, So, but I have to add one more thing with my trip down south. I think the thing that was also warmed my heart the most is that I got to see her parents. And to know that they loved on me in that moment as much as I loved on them, and then we missed each other so much, and I got to see them, and, they're in their upper 70s and upper 80s. It could be the last time. I don't know, but it was so special. And so I ask that young people take a minute and really get to know even the parents if they can, and the siblings, and create these bonds, because we need these things as humans. And girlfriends, and I bet guys,
we need our girlfriends.
We need our girlfriends, and
Girls, you do need
hope
them.
Guys are the same. I hope guys have those strong connections too, because they got to get out of the house from their wives.
Yeah, it's really, really important. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
As I am.
I'm grateful to those
As
ladies.
I am too.
And I am grateful that I have this strong bond and connection. Like, these friendships go back decades.
Yes, it's so
and
good.
We're going to leave it at that.
We are going to leave it at that. Hey, do us a favor. If you liked the podcast today, head over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Until we are back to chirp about another topic.